Tripwire has got to be the best executioner of 0.2. She can catch up to her victims fast, leave landmines that can kill anything in seconds, and can face multiple players at the same time. I wanted to make a guide video to maximize the carnage of her abilities, but be warned, this is stuff when she was first released. She's most likely to get nerfed later on, so some of this could be, well, slightly off. Anyways, to start this off, I'm splitting the guide into threes: Tripwire and her abilities, best strategies to use her, then finally a few tips for a few maps alongside with a bit of gameplay. Starting off, you'll be seeing a meteor to your left and 3 different abilities. Her M1 does 25 damage, causing a bleeding effect. The first ability is Brighter Day. This ability will shoot out a laser that slowly damages survivors. When they first get hit, they stop for a split second before they could escape. If the beam hits any kind of surface, it leaves some sort of electric field that also causes health drain. Next ability is Reach Out. When in use, it shoots out these dark tentacle things that wrap around survivors. This ability can just hold around 3 survivors, pulling them towards you. This slowly drains their health, but as of right now, it doesn't fully kill them. It just leaves them at 0 HP. You also get some kind of shield during this, so if anyone tries to stun you, they will be punished with around 20 to 25 damage taken and get stunned from their abilities. When the survivors get freed, they also get a debuff that stuns them from ever using a single ability. This lasts for a certain amount of time or forever until they try to use an ability, which won't work, basically paralyzing them until they try to use one singular ability to waste that ability. Then the final one is the step, which a lot of people call them trip mines. You become vulnerable for a few seconds just to set up a trip mine. Once the trip mine is set up, if any survivor tries to run over it, they'll get pulled to it, blow up, get sent flying, and get dealt 25 damage. This will also mark the survivor's exact location whenever they trigger it. The trip mines are also connected to the meter, so you can tell how many you have left and how many you're supposed to have. The more you use, the less you'll have on your meter. This meter won't give you another trip mine unless a trip mine has already been destroyed or triggered. Oh yeah, survivors can destroy your trip mines if they want to, but it also wastes a stun ability. Tripwire is pretty fast on her feet, well, in the air in this case. She's able to double jump and glide, which is pretty fast. It's double the speed of her normal running speed. She doesn't have a tracking ability, but if you're near a survivor, it starts tracking them, so it's pretty much a passive. Alright, now that everything about Tripwire is covered, let's talk about strategies. When the game first starts, always set up. Don't go straight towards the survivors, just immediately start setting up your trip mines to the most common places where survivors go. I recommend doing this on the first minute of the match, as it's really helpful. After that, you can start chasing after survivors. There's also something that's really helpful to you that's part of the human emotion: panic. When you're chasing after a survivor that's low on health, they'll most likely start panicking and running blindly in a certain direction. Because 80% of the time, survivors like to turn their camera back to see you, just so they can predict where you're gonna hit and when you're gonna hit, leaving the direction that they're gonna try to run to completely blind, increasing the chances of hitting a landmine. I'd always recommend to try to lead them towards one whenever you're chasing after them. Whenever you're starting a chase against a survivor, I always recommend to always spam glide. You have double the speed and you're able to catch up in an instant. This is by far the most helpful passive for Tripwire, as it guarantees you so many different kills. But if you're having problems when it comes to chasing an Eggman and a Knuckles with their counters, always use Reach Out. It's unavoidable when they even try to counter, especially against Eggman, as his boost is unable to help him get away. I also recommend using Reach Out in a group when you know for sure everyone has already used their abilities, as there's really nothing to do other than take damage. If all these abilities fail you, which most of the time it probably won't, use Brighter Day as a finisher. If the survivors are below 15 or 20, I highly recommend using that to finish them off, as it kills them or downs them. With all these tips combined, you'll for sure win a match. But of course, you can't really win the match unless you know a bit of the map, which are the next tips that we're going to talk about for Tripwire. Map strategies. You'll definitely need to learn this whenever it comes to trip mines. Like I said before, always place them at the most common survivor spots that players like to go to. You can completely stop springs and cancel looping spots. When it comes to springs, I don't really place them directly on the spring. I place these bombs wherever you're supposed to land when you use a spring, since you can't really see it until you use it, and once you land it, it's already too late. Another thing about this is to always place them in dark areas or in blind spots. I also place landmines in like open areas, so whenever they're in a state of panic, they're most likely probably gonna run into that one on accident. I also place a few on narrow hallways as it shuts down access to them. Even with all this knowledge, none of this is the most scummiest thing you could do with the mines. The number one thing involves the exit ring. Let me show you how powerful these mines are against the Sonic and Eggman LMS. Back in 0.1, you're guaranteed to lose, but looking at this gameplay, you can see them heavily struggle with all these mines. A narrow bridge with a one-way access to the ring. They keep struggling and struggling and struggling up until bam, they both die and they lose. I mean, if you're desperate enough with a bunch of survivors still alive, I guess you can go ahead and go for the ring immediately to set up these landmines. But like I said, this is a very scummy tactic to do. But anyways, enough about the trip mines. Let's talk about the other abilities now. Brighter Day, I highly recommend using this against a long hallway chase. It guarantees you so many hits with this method. Now for reach out, always make sure to use this against like an open area. If it's a closed off area that has a quick corner, you're not going to catch them. Then finally, glide. I'd recommend using this at the highest point of elevation, as it guarantees you to get to the survivor super fast. So if a chase starts at any given high point, you will be given the advantage. Like I said, you're fast. If you find this really helpful, please subscribe. I plan to do more with like Colossus, Silver, and Blaze. So until then.